Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. We are nearing the end of Volume 2 of the Inquest of Lizzie Borden. And today we are covering Hannah H. Gifford. She is a women's cloak maker, and she would make cloaks for all of the ladies of the Borden house. If you've never had a chance to look up what a cloak was in the Victorian era, it is similar and yet different to what you're thinking about. They were often made of taffeta, silk, and were trimmed with embroidery, ruffles, fringe, and lace. So she would have been rather a specialist in her field, and even more so today. They would cost an absolute fortune today, and I'm sure they were a necessary piece of clothing back in the Victorian era to keep you warm on a cold winter's day. But for now, let's dig into the inquest of Hannah H. Gifford. Hannah H. Gifford. Mr. Knowlton, what is your name? Hannah H. Gifford. Where do you live? 39 Franklin Street. Were you acquainted in the family of Mr. Borden? Yes, sir, I was. Ever go there? No, sir, never. What is your business? Cloak making. Ladies' cloaks, I suppose? Yes, sir. Did you ever make cloaks for either of that family? All three of them. Mrs. Borden, Lizzie, and Emma? Yes. When was the last time you made any garment for Mrs. Borden? It must have been as much as 2 or 3 years ago. When was the last for Emma? This spring. Not made one for her, but I fixed one for her. Then for Lizzie? I made one for her also this spring, very early this spring. Of course, that made them come to your house more or less. Yes, of course. Did you ever hear either Miss Emma or Miss Lizzie say anything about their mother? I never heard Emma, but I have heard Lizzie. What have you heard Lizzie say? Well, she called her mother a mean old thing. When was that? That was this spring when I was doing the last work for them. How came she to say that? It was some remark I made about her mother's garment. What would be becoming for her? You know Mrs. Borden was very fleshy. Oh, well, okay then. We did not know that Mrs. Borden was very fleshy, but thank you for informing us. I am also very fleshy, but I would appreciate it if you called me a member of the Fluffy Brigade instead, because fleshy is just not a word I want associated with me. I spoke to her of what I thought would be becoming to Mrs. Borden. She says, well, she is a mean old thing. I says, oh, you don't say that, Lizzie. She says, yes, and we don't have anything to do with her. Only what we are obliged to, she says. She said that? She said that, yes. Anything more? Well, she says, we stay upstairs most of the time. We stay in our room most of the time. I says, you do. Don't you go to your meals? Yes, we go to our meals, but we don't always eat with the family with them. Sometimes we wait until they are through, she says. The thing I find interesting about this is that in this rendition, Lizzie is talking in the plural, meaning both her and Emma. But most of the focus of this inquest has been on Lizzie, not on Emma. Emma's been brought up a few times, but not to the depth that Lizzie has, which kind of makes sense because they would have done this before proceeding with the trial of the murders before proceeding with Lizzie being charged with the murders. Did she tell you why? No, that is all she said. I did not say anything more. I was awfully surprised to hear her. You never heard Mrs. Borden say anything, I suppose? No, I never heard any of them say anything against each other. Excepting that. That is the only time I ever heard Lizzie either, and I was very much surprised. Did she seem to be joking about it, or speaking with some feeling? No, she seemed to have a little feeling about it, that was all. There was no joking about it at all. That was this last spring? Yes, it was early in the spring that I'd done their work. And that was another very short inquest, which makes sense because all this woman had to offer was basically being a character witness, in this case, against Lizzie. I had heard something negative spoken by Lizzie about her mother. So that's all we have, other than hopefully you're looking up Victoria era cloaks. And yes, they made them for men, not just women. It could be your new fashion accessory for next winter. So until next time, happy hunting.